So with what we've seen in the tournament so far as kind of any indicator as to what's about to happen on Friday now, the number 1 Danville Blue Devils will indeed be playing in the state Final Four. 3 straight running clock victories after they smashed number 5 Miller 46-6 on Friday night. And the mastermind, Travis, behind their dominance, third-year head coach Matt Blum, joining us right now. Coach, what's going on, man? How you doing after Monday night of preparation here for Week 14? Again, we're back at it. I love it.
It's a normal occurrence.
Doing good, guys. Thanks again for having me on.
Always love talking with you, man. And I think that last year we all kind of expected with the team that you had that you were going to be back in the regional final. Even though you were the number 1 seed, did you feel that way heading into this tournament, like you were going to be head and shoulders above the competition
6-1
through the
in
first
the
few
KMAC
rounds like you have been so far?
Second in the KMAC,
yeah, we
but
always talk
still
about,
as strong as ever. Here come the Danville Blue Devils.
Obviously have a really good senior class.
Offensive line
We've really
is wet.
been able to turn it around since they're in the middle part of the season. So I think we've gotten better each week and put ourselves in a position to be able to compete in Week 14 again. So we're fortunate for the opportunity. We're going to attack it with everything we have.
I have legitimately been in awe of your beatdowns so far this tournament. You've outscored your 3 opponents 160-8. Travis wants to know something about your roster from top to bottom and how you feel about it.
Hey, buddy. Hope
Sure.
you're having a good night. Hope you had a good day of practice. But, you know, we've been with you guys through your last 2 tournament runs. We talked about last year going into this game about the play, JFK game, and then last year running into a Dalton team that played for a state championship as well. You had 2 very good teams, a lot of great players on that team, those teams that have graduated. But I want to ask you, just as a complete team, is this one of the better teams out of those 3 that you have? More complete squad, or would you say it's just, you know, you guys are executing better?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's kind of hard to pick with the last 3 years. I think each team kind of had its own unique differences. I will say over the last 3 years, this is definitely the team that's grown the most throughout the course of the season. I think from Week 1 to Week 13, this team has gotten a lot better. And I think that's kind of partly why we're having the success we're having right now. We're definitely clicking at the right time. But it's kind of hard to answer that question. I think each team had its own unique style.
Mm-hmm.
What I do like about this team, though, a lot is they come to work every single day with great attitudes, great senior leadership, and I'm just ready to go to battle with these guys on Friday night.
We talked about this during Devil Dog, before the Devil Dog game, that, you know, something changed for you guys after that Northmor loss. You know, the secondary, you know, got lit up by A.J. Bauer and company, but then after that, it seemed like it was a wake-up call for you guys because you played Centerburg, had a good passing attack, you shut them down. You faced Jax Lester at East Knox, you shut them down. And it just seemed like instead of that Northmor loss being something bad for you guys and you falling off, it really turned things around for you guys.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've said all season. I mean, our kids kind of could have packed it in after that loss and maybe went 5-5 and felt sorry for themselves, or you know, we said that on the field that night after we got beat by Northmor pretty badly. You know, you can get back to work on Monday and let's go 8-2. Let's go make a deep playoff run. That's exactly what we've done. So just really proud of the kids and the kids and seniors we have this year for leading our program in the right direction. And yeah, we're just going to keep pushing as long as we possibly can. Hopefully it's for another 3 weeks.
You're 35-5, including the playoffs as a head coach, your overall record. 3 straight regional finals appearances as well. Quality players aside, what would you most attribute all the winning that you've done so far down there on Tough Street to? Where's the credit go?
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of 2 places. I think I have a tremendous coaching staff that I'm able to obviously share the credit with. Great offensive, defensive coordinators and great assistant coaches. Also, really great community. They understand what it takes to have a winning football program. The parents hold their kids to high standards, and you know we have a supportive administration that wants football to succeed. So you need all those different parts along with talented players to have a good program. So obviously, just fortunate to have all those different pieces.
Travis already kind of touched on this, but you've been on the cusp of the state Final Four twice already. This is your third opportunity. Heartbreak in 2022. Last year, you played against arguably the second best team in the state in Downton, who was able to take down maybe the most talented team that you've had so far. What are your expectations for Friday against number 2 Eastern, an undefeated team? Where do you feel like you stack up with your knowledge about what they've been able to do so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, our expectation and goals going into the season was getting back to this type of game and winning this type of game. Our players are really hungry. They want to knock down the door and get to the Final Four. We haven't been since 2017, so this is something that this senior class really wants to be able to accomplish. And they've been a part of some really good teams, like you've mentioned, the last couple of years. We've never had 3 straight 10-plus winning seasons. We've never been to 3 straight regional finals until this year. So it's a credit to those guys and what they've accomplished. But now it's time to finish the job, finish the objective, and that's what we're going to try to do on Friday night.
We love your running back tandem here on the OH.Report, of course. And Jonathan Langdon even gave him a really cool nickname, Boom and Zoom. Is that something that they are liking? Because we saw the community's been picking up on that, and they've been running with it. Do the boys like those nicknames?
Yeah, they love it, man. We appreciate your coverage. You guys do a great job definitely supporting our athletes. And they love the nickname. We've really adapted to it, and it perfectly describes them. I mean, they're a very, very, very tandem together, along with an offensive line up front and tight ends blocking for them. So, we're going to ride that as long as we can.
You got any other kids that got some cool nicknames on the team that you can share with us?
Man, off the top of my head, I don't think anything can beat that. I mean, that's a pretty good one.
I mean, sticking with that, I called a couple of your games, the Mount Gilead game, a few others going up the Loudonville game throughout the middle of the season. But I saw Cy Wallace get some carries, especially early on, but then he really broke out in the second half of the season, and that opened things up now because of the boom and zoom. It makes teams now have to focus on not just Aiden Burke, but Cy Wallace. How much has he helped you guys out in this stretch run to just open things up offensively?
Oh yeah, it just adds a completely different element to our offense. And Cy was a fantastic junior high player, but he actually never played running back until this year. So
really,
it took he was a receiver all throughout junior high and growing up. So it obviously took a lot of adjusting at that position. So that's kind of why we tried to ease him in there for a little bit. He really had a breakout game week 7 against Cardington. That's when you could argue that he kind of started to find himself. And we've been able to have success with him ever since, along with Aiden Burke. So anytime you can have a guy that rushed for 1,400 yards with Aiden Burke and then another guy with Cy that runs for 800, that's really successful, and it speaks to the level of how hard those kids work. So great bunch of kids, and we're going to try to do the same thing Friday night.
And, Coach, you guys can throw it a little bit, but just barely above 1,000 yards. And I'm no mathematician, but 13 weeks in, that's probably only 80, 85 yards a game. So you're truly getting it done, just lining up, and you're just saying boom and zoom are coming at you. And then plus defensively, you guys are holding teams to about 10 points per game. Is it cool to you that in modern-day football, where everyone kind of likes the 5 wide and the spread looks and a little bit of eye candy, that you guys are just going out there and you're like, you know what? I think we're a little bit stronger. We got some dudes in the backfield as well that can run out of here if we get some holes, and you're just lining up and you're just going head-to-head and playing some, the big man football.
Yeah, I mean, kind of when I took over 3 years ago, you want to have an identity, not only for yourself but for your program. And year in, year out, no matter what type of players we have, we want to be able to run the ball successfully and stop the run successfully. And that kind of what our brand is at Danville. I think we have tough kids, come from tough households. So we kind of fit that mantra a little bit. But I think both of our, like I had mentioned earlier, I think both of our coordinators do a really good job on both sides of the ball, game planning, both on the offensive and defensive sides. And offensively, I think we've been, throwing the ball a little bit more towards the later half of the year. Our goal is anywhere between 10 and 15 attempts per game, and it's just really keep the defense honest and also get some of our receivers the ball because they can be playmakers too.
Coach, I talked about this in your intro. I truly believe the KMAC is one of the most underrated conferences in the state of Ohio for small schools. I mean, if Centerburg would have been seeded a little bit differently, I really believe we could have had 3 teams playing for regional championships this Friday. Just, I guess, talk about how much the KMAC should be noted as one of the better small school conferences in the state of Ohio, because you guys have up and down the standings, you had a chance of getting 6 teams into the playoffs. I mean, Mount Gilead picked it up late, but they gave you a test. Centerburg played real well. Fredericktown got into the postseason. You're seeing what Northmor does. East Knox, if they didn't have some injuries early on, could have made it as well. Just up and down. This is a conference that gets you guys ready for long playoff runs, and it's showing it this year with, I believe, one of the few times ever in conference history having 2 teams in the Elite 8.
Yeah, I think our league is tremendous, top to bottom this year too. I thought it was a really, really competitive league where, on any given night anybody can get knocked out. And yeah, to your point, I mean, I think if Centerburg was seeded differently, they definitely could have made a run. Honestly, I think if Mount Gilead could have gotten into the playoffs and got the right seeding, that they could have made a run. I think they were really close in some different ball games. Fredericktown, I think they had a lot of really, really good pieces this year. So, yeah, top to bottom, I think it's a really competitive league year in and year out. And that's the type of football you want to play because, honestly, I think that's the reason why we've been able to play to Week 14 the last 3 years, because of our tough conference schedule. And I think we've challenged ourselves in the non-conference as well. Being able to play 4 D5 teams this year, it really gets you ready for, the Division 7 playoffs. So, yeah, we're just fortunate to be a part of it and compete in a really good league along with great coaches and great players.
It's typically like schools and teams that have mascots, but if ever a conference had one, Travis Berardi is that for the KMAC. So we do salute you, KMAC Trav, for putting them on full display. No longer underrated. They are very well known. So are you, Coach. We're all hoping that this is the year that we get to see you on the sidelines in Week 15. So best of luck on Friday night. Bring that tough from Tough Street with you down to Logan. Thanks for joining us, bro.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Go Blue Devils.
That's right. Wow, what a run for Matt Blum since he took over at that program. Like he mentioned, Danville's a very proud program. They've got a lot of numbers on some banners down there. And for he to be the first coach to take a team to 3 consecutive regional championship games, and it's less watered down. I don't. Now that there's more teams in there, there's more of a chance for you to slip up, I guess I would say.
This is true.
So they're doing something that's it's pretty rare.
I mean, look at his first year. He had to go through Lucas, who was really good. Hillsdale, you and I saw that game.
Crazy
Tough
game.
Street was amazing. And maybe we see that again in 2 weeks. You never know. But they had a tough schedule right off the bat, and then JFK. I mean, it still hurt. I'm not going to talk about that. And then last year, again, running through teams until they found the Downton Bulldogs, who go up against Marion Local in a state championship game too. The 2 teams that they lost to in the playoffs both played for state championships against Marion Local in D7. Sure. So this team battle tested, and now I've said it before too. This is a very favorable region this year because the Doughtons, the Lucases, the Hillsdales weren't there. I mean, Eastern, no slouch, 13-0. Got to go up against them, but I still think Danville will be a favored team in that. And if they do what they're supposed to do, just like Northmor, I believe we could have 2 KMAC teams in this Final 4. In D6 and D7.
Look at that smile.
That's
Come
pretty darn
on,
cool.
He is brimming from ear to ear, baby.
And we could, then the OH.Report could have multiple teams. I think we could have a few. We'll be busy after Thanksgiving too. This is, I think honestly, coming into this season, did you think we were going to be this busy this late in the football season?
Well, I admittedly have to say this. Now they got the number 1 seed, which I was like, Danville, and then I went and I looked at their schedule from top to bottom. I was like, oh, they've only lost to 13-0 Hopewell Loudon and 13-0 Northmor.
Both in D6.
They've kind of handled everybody else. So they've proven themselves. I didn't know that they were going to be this tough, this physical, and the running attack has just absolutely blossomed. You mentioned it. That now that they have the Zoom to go with the boom, and it's not just Aiden Burke out there making the crazy highlights, which he did all year.
Oh,
and he's been on our top plays. I don't know how many times, almost every single week. But now that they have a 2-headed monster, and every now and again all H out of the backfield. He can toss it a little bit, and even with the Philly special, or now the Danville regular, whatever you want to call it, they've got a few tricks up their sleeve. I think that I don't know anything about their opponent. I haven't done no research whatsoever.
Beaver Eastern, hey.
But I really feel like Danville's probably going to be the more physical team, and I will be stunned if they don't score at least 40 points again, just lining up and running it.
Well, I see Coach Blum still watching, but I will say this. Hey, that Danville jump pass worked in a regional championship game 2 years ago. If you want to go back to that at some point, that'll make me very excited while I'm watching from my game for Northmor. But, hey, and then the Danville regular, which was the Philly special. I mean, the Danville special, it's still the jump pass.
Yeah.
I mean, just watch that JFK game and our reaction when they ran it to take the lead.
That was great.
I mean, that was cool. But then you have the little Tough Street. We'll call it the Tough Street special, the Philly special. How about that? You got the Danville special and the Tough Street special. But I'm very excited to see this Danville team play on Friday night, just like the Northmor team. I honestly think we could have two KMAC teams playing in the state Final Four, and then maybe, an upset here and an upset there. You might get an Ontario. You might. I do think Hillsdale. We could have a lot of teams playing after Thanksgiving, practicing on Thanksgiving. I said playing in a state championship game, number one, but number two, you get that practice Thanksgiving morning. That's special in itself.
That's tough this year because they pushed that Thanksgiving back like as far as they could. So you got to be playing in a state championship to be practicing on Thanksgiving. But we will have Danville also on a delayed broadcast, right? Their game has been chosen too.
No, not yet.
Oh, we don't
Hillsdale
know
and
yet.
Danville are two. It's if the NFHS goes in and swoops that away from us.
So possibility that you might be able to watch your Blue Devils live and free, but that's out of our hands at this point in the season. We say it every year. The OHSA gets greedier and greedier, and they don't let the small guys that actually cover the teams all year do it live. They bring in others.
And Thanksgiving's next Thursday, so they'd be playing in the yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
2
weeks.
We're yeah.
What day?
I
is
always
it?
go to my Friendsgiving the week before Thanksgiving. That's this Thursday,
Monday the 18th.
Yeah, so we're 2 weeks. So it's still a final. It's usually regional championships, but last year was Final Four as well because I was home and did Dalton's thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so you just got to make the Final Four to make it to Thanksgiving this year.
So it's all laid out for you guys. We are going to have 5 full broadcasts for you coming up on Friday. We know at least 3 have to be delayed. Hopefully we can have 2 live and free games. That'd be pretty cool, but that has not been the case. Regional championships so far, OHSA has come in and monopolized it here the last 2 years.
Money, yeah.
We assume it'll be 3 years in a row, but you can watch those on the delay, and then they're up there forever. So unlike what OHSA does,
even if say those streams don't work, kind of like last year, Danville fans.